Hello, and welcome to another episode of That's Mental TV with myself, Jess. Christine has passed me the baton, so I'll be hosting the show today. And today we have a very special guest. Some people say that we may look quite similar, some say we may have similar personalities, but I'll allow him to introduce himself. So go for it, guest.
Yeah. My name is Elfried Samba. I'm the head of social content at Gymshark, and I'm also Jessica's brother.
Yeah, he's one of my three brothers, one of my three wonderful brothers, I could say.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've probably been seeing each other a lot more recently. Well, maybe since last month, because of obviously everything that's been happening with the pandemic and lockdown and so on and so forth. So, how would you say you've been coping with the lockdown?
well, first and foremost, I'm so thankful that not just myself, but my family and my friends and loved ones are all are well. So
Mhm.
we have to be thankful about that. It's obviously a devastating period around the world, and it's such a massive curveball to what we thought this year was going to be all about.
Yes.
So while I'm feel like I'm truly blessed to be in a good position, both from a health perspective and from a mental well-being perspective, I'm also very aware that there's a lot of people that may not be as fortunate. So
Yeah.
from my perspective, it's just being appreciative of all of the opportunity to be amongst family, to stay together, and also to be able to maintain that health.
Yeah.
I think that this period has been a period of self-reflection. It's all about reevaluating what you prioritized in life. It's all about reevaluating the things that really matter. And I felt that during this period really helped me to do that. And actually, I feel like I'm coming out of it better than what I came into it.
Yeah, so I know that you were working from home, which you kind of are doing at the moment. How was that when you first had to find that out? Because I'm sure that you said that you do love working in the office. So what has it been like working from home rather than seeing many of your colleagues?
To be fair, the first week was probably the most one of the most challenging periods of my working life
Yeah,
because I obviously lead a team. So switching that or that transition from everybody being in the office to trying to manage everybody remotely when they're asking you what's going on and you don't have the answers, and then you're asking your leaders what's going on and they don't have the answers. So just a period of confusion for the first week or two. But then after that, when you started to get into our stride, it actually started to become more efficient and more effective. We actually realized that we are speaking more because we now have things like stand-ups that are scheduled in to make sure that everybody knows exactly what's expected of them. You now prioritize Zoom calls when really you'd have conversation as of when you're in the office. But I guess the main difference that you miss out on is the working culture. So actually, eventually, as the COVID rules started to loosen, we started to go from nobody being in the office at all to actually every fortnight we're getting everybody in, with social distancing measures obviously being adhered to, just to get that cultural element back. Now, don't get me wrong, the start was very effective and efficient from a working perspective, but it was really hard from a employee relations perspective. But I think that we're getting through that hurdle. Actually, the biggest challenge for me during this period was the working out, the gym side, because although I have a nice little setup behind me, um, uh, um, be home being the place where you rest, work, and work out just became too much for me. I was able to do the working bit and the resting bit, but the working out I just lost motivation. So I'm so happy that Boris Johnson decided to lift the gym ban, and I can get back to doing that. And I feel like I'm back at 100%.
I know you mentioned the gym. I was about to ask you about that as well. What is it about being at the gym that makes you feel so happy rather than working out at home? Because you think that because you got everything at home, you could just cancel your gym membership and then just do home workouts for the rest of your life. But then why was it that you were really excited for the gym to open?
Well, to be fair, I'm fairly busy, as you already know.
Yeah.
So I guess the gym is like a mental escape, and for you to get into a different mental state, it does help to be in a different environment, right?
Yeah.
It's almost very, very difficult to switch your environment or switch your mental state when you're exactly in the same place. So that's the biggest challenge, because it's not necessarily about the physical side. Because if it's just about the physical side, then you just have to move as much equipment as you can to your house. It's about the mental escape, being able to have some time on your own, away from the world, and be able to reset and think about things. Now, it's very, very easy to just say, I'm going to skip the gym when the kitchen is right next to you. Your bed is just upstairs and you had a long day, and the TV showing your favorite show on Netflix, right? So being able to physically get out of that scenario and be in a completely new environment does definitely help.
What has been something else that you found really hard that had closed during the lockdown period that you wish could have stayed open?
Um, to be fair, not much. Well, obviously, I'm a big football fan, so
Yeah.
I'm an Arsenal fan, as are you. But really, other than that, I've been okay. The supermarkets have been pretty open. We're buying more shopping than we've ever done before. That's for sure. So that's become a problem, because you're eating more at home, and then you have to obviously always go to the shop. So that's been the big change. But actually, I'm fortunate enough to be an introverted extrovert. Well,
Okay.
actually, yeah, I'm an introverted extrovert. So, by when I'm around social people, I'm very sociable. But then I actually enjoy spending my time at home. So, it hasn't really bothered me that much, fortunately.
Yeah, what would be your advice to people who have found it really hard during this lockdown period? Like people that maybe live by themselves, or people that rely on being around big groups of people in order for them to be happy.
Well, there's two main things. One is a little bit deeper, because I'm a deep guy. Is all about taking the step back and not looking at lockdown at face value. Look at what it actually means. The world has pretty much given us the opportunity to stop, reset, and reflect, right? So to look really into what are the things that we've been prioritizing, right? Because if you look at the nature of lockdown, it's confined us to our homes. It's taken away all the artificial stuff and superficial stuff that don't really matter. And it's told you to stay with the people that are closest to you. And then you live that way. They give you your opportunity to eat and drink water, and you can work out at home. So you have all those opportunities. So I guess what I took out of it is the fact that a lot of the stuff that you prioritized in the past doesn't really matter, right? So first and foremost, it's about taking those things off the pedestal. And secondly, in terms of like actually coping with the social restrictions, you got to zoom it. We're doing a
Yeah.
Zoom call right now, right? You got to adapt to the year that we're living in. You got to adapt to the world that we're living in, and it's not ideal, and it may not feel exactly the same. Obviously, we're fortunate now that the social distancing laws, I think it's at 1 meter now, so you can still obviously arrange conversations, but then we just have to adapt to the new way of living, right? It's just all we can do. It's all we can do to keep ourselves safe and to keep ourselves moving forward. So it's all about, yeah, making sure that you prioritize those scheduled conversations with the people that matter, making sure that you check in with loved ones, making sure they're all okay, and making sure that you prioritize your health more than anything. It's so important. Look, I like to look at the good side of every scenario, right?
Yeah.
Which is not always easy to do, but then there are positives in this, which is, and yes, there are many negatives, but there are also positives in this, which is the lessons that life is trying to give us. And I urge everybody to have a hard look at it and try to take the best out of it to make sure that they come out of this their best self.
What do you look forward to most once everything is completely over? So like there's zero cases of coronavirus and everybody's free to just do whatever. What's the first thing that you look forward to doing that you can't really do right now?
I would say go and watch an Arsenal game, but actually I'm going to have to, although I claim that I'm getting old, I'm going to have to do one post-COVID party. That's going to be the best weekend on the planet. Everyone's
Yeah.
going to be partying, everyone's going to have a good time. So I want to get involved in that. But after that, I guess I'm going to try to go to a concert. I'm a big music fan, so I like to do that. I'm going to go watch the football, which is a great thing to do. And yeah, you're going to enjoy some time with some friends, right? Go traveling again is the most important thing. Yes, they have lifted traveling bans in certain locations, but I'm still going to wait a little bit
Yeah.
until it all eases off.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a very good idea. So you're thinking of a post COVID-19, no social distancing party.
Yeah, 100%. I think that those are going to be the best parties on the one for the ages, one to tell the grandkids. I know there's going to be a lot of funny stories. It'll be very, very interesting to see whether people still remember how to have a good time.
Yeah,
Because now, if you think about it now, I think back in the day, your main objective when you're going to a supermarket was to get in and out as quickly as possible.
yeah,
Now you're having like pointless conversations with people because it feels like you're meeting people for the first time, right?
yeah.
So it's almost like you're in your first year at junior school trying to figure out how to make friends. So it'll be interesting to see how that first mass interaction is like.
Yeah.
And yeah, and actually it'll be interesting to see whether we actually ever do get to normal the way that we used to be, or whether we just reinvent a new normal.
Yeah, that's very true because I was about to say, and you work in social media.
Yeah,
So how has that changed, especially in this period? Because people obviously rely on seeing others, and it must be a lot different when you just have to rely on speaking to them via social media.
yeah,
But do you think that if this was to happen again in the future, that people will be more prepared for that
yeah.
in
I do
social media
think
wise?
that as well, there's also talks of it being a financial recession as well. I think that what 2020 has given us, apart from like war, knock on wood, but this is one of the biggest or the most challenging things that we've had to deal with as a human race, right?
Yeah,
So I know that the initial couple of months was a big shock, but I think that in general, people have become accustomed to it, and I think that if there was a second wave or whatever that might be, people would understand it. I don't think that it'll make that people be happy about it,
yeah.
but I think people will understand it. They'll understand the severity of it, and yeah, I think that we'll be able to cope. I think we'll be able to cope. We just have to make sure that the instructions that we're fed is very consistent, right? And
Yeah.
we make the right decisions as quickly as possible. Because I know it's a tough job for the guys that are leading this. I wouldn't want to be in those shoes, but yeah, that's why I work in social media. And also what we realized as well is during the lockdown period is that social media consumption has gone up. But recently, because of that spike in people now heading towards social media, we've also seen a lot of people detoxing from social
Yeah.
media because of the amount of time they've spent on there and the amount of, what was happening with like the George Floyd murder and everything that was happening there. There's just been so much that we've been hit with all at once that people do also want to be able to kind of like take a step out of social media and think about things and live in the real world. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens as the months go on.
Yeah, so as you did mention, there was a lot of other things that did happen during the lockdown period. One of the things that did happen was the George Floyd murder and the Black Lives Movement being brought back up again. How did you feel in that period of time? Because I feel like a lot of people were confused with like the lockdown period, and then a lot of people's activity on social media went down a bit. And then once all of that happened, it shot back up. So how was your mental health in that moment in time?
It was very, very challenging. Obviously, as a black man, being in the black community, you do unfortunately hear about and see these things very frequently, right? So initially, it's almost like just the sheer disappointment that it's happening again, and no one's going to, and nothing's going to happen, or no one's going to do anything about it. But I do believe that the sheer fact that everybody has been glued to their screens during this lockdown period, and it was like frequently shared, it was just something that could not be ignored, right? I guess you're here with a lot of emotions because you're always a little bit skeptical of the fact that is it just going to be a short-term thing? Do people actually really care, or is it just going to be a temperamental thing, etc.? So from my perspective, I wanted to make sure that as the spotlight is finally on us as Black people, we need to do as much as we can to educate, accommodate, and communicate with people from other races and backgrounds to be able to have that conversation, right?
Yeah.
And obviously this is like a whirlwind of emotions that's went through it, but I like I said, I like to look at everything from a positive end, and I thought that this was a great opportunity for us to actually have our voices heard. And I think that so far we've done a big job. I think a lot of organizations are starting to change a lot of policies, and I know that everybody has their opinions on what happened on Blackout Tuesday. I basically think that every organization that did decide to participate in that event pretty much set themselves up for scrutiny if they don't adhere to the things that they've said. So I feel that, like I said, 2020 is the year that nobody wanted but needed.
Yeah.
So it allowed us to be able to have these these difficult conversations and be able to start to move forward, which is the most important thing. And it's the thing that I am most thankful for what 2020 has given to us.
Yeah, we're almost near the end of the show, but for one last question, what is one tip that you would give to somebody that is probably feeling quite low right now and just to up their spirits? What is one thing that you would say to them?
Don't suffer in silence. It is so important to be able to lean on other people and communicate, right? This is a year when we have to embrace vulnerability. We have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We have to be able to talk through things and work through things, and no one is too big or too strong to have a challenging mental health. Mental health is a real thing, right?
Yeah.
And through the years, I think people deemed that if you thought of yourself as vulnerable and weak, that it's weak, right? And it's not true. If anything, it's the strongest thing you'll ever do. So if anybody's going through some tough times, speak to somebody. It's so important. You never know what perspective can change your current mindset, and it's just so important for us to work through this together.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alfred. I'm so glad that I got to interview you today. I'll probably be seeing you maybe in a couple of seconds' time because we're actually in the same house. But be sure to check us out again. If you missed our previous videos, you can just check them out on our YouTube channel. We have some more great content for you guys. But it is now goodbye from myself and Alfred. We'll see you very soon.
So yeah,